Matcha Latte. This is probably the drink most people picture when they hear the word matcha. It's made by whisking matcha powder with a small amount of hot water to form a smooth paste, then adding steamed milk on top. The milk softens the natural bitterness of the matcha and creates a creamy, rounded flavor that works well both hot and iced. Most cafes use a milk-to-matcha ratio that leans sweet and mild, though the taste can shift dramatically depending on the grade of matcha used. Higher grade matcha brings a deeper, more complex flavor, while lower grade powder can taste grassy or sharp. The drink became widely popular outside Japan largely through specialty coffee culture, where it found a natural home alongside oat milk and almond milk alternatives. Iced matcha latte. The iced version follows the same basic formula but changes the experience entirely. Cold milk mutes some of the earthiness and makes the drink feel lighter and more refreshing. It's typically served over ice with the matcha poured over cold milk rather than steamed, which sometimes creates a layered green and white look before it's stirred. In warmer climates, this version has become the default way people order matcha. The temperature affects more than just comfort. Cold preparation tends to preserve a slightly more grassy, vegetal note that gets smoothed out by heat in the hot version. Some people prefer it specifically for that reason. Matcha Ceremonial Tea. This is the oldest form of matcha and the one everything else is built on. Ceremonial grade matcha is made from the youngest tea leaves, stone ground into an extremely fine powder and prepared with nothing added, just matcha and hot water. In traditional Japanese tea ceremony, the preparation itself is the point. The water temperature, the motion of the whisk, the bowl used, all of it is considered part of the experience. There are two main forms: koicha, which is thick and uses more matcha, and usucha, which is thin and more commonly served to guests. Drinking it plain reveals the full range of the tea: sweet, umami-rich, slightly bitter, and smooth when made well. It tastes nothing like a sweetened cafe drink. Matcha Smoothie. Matcha smoothies take the powder out of the tea context entirely and blend it into a fruit or vegetable base. Common combinations include banana, spinach, mango, or avocado, with a liquid like almond milk or coconut water to bring it together. The matcha adds a gentle bitterness that balances sweeter fruit ingredients and gives the smoothie a subtle depth it wouldn't otherwise have. It also adds caffeine and L-theanine, which is part of why people reach for it in the morning. The flavor of matcha can disappear quickly in a strong fruit blend, so the amount used matters. Too little and it's invisible. Too much and it can feel medicinal. Matcha Lemonade. Matcha Lemonade is a drink built entirely on contrast. The tartness of lemon and the earthy bitterness of matcha push against each other in a way that's surprisingly refreshing. It's almost always served cold, usually with the matcha floating or layered on top of the lemonade before being mixed. Some versions are sweetened with simple syrup or honey to soften the edges. The combination became popular partly because of how it looks. The green matcha sitting above the yellow lemonade makes for a striking visual before it's stirred. In terms of flavor, it leans more tart than any other matcha drink, and works well for people who find lattes too sweet or too heavy. Matcha Milk Tea. Matcha milk tea sits somewhere between a latte and a bubble tea, depending on who's making it. At its simplest, it's matcha mixed with milk and sometimes a sweetener, served chilled. In Asian-style tea shops, it often includes tapioca pearls, making it closer to a bubble tea experience. The texture becomes part of the drink. The chewiness of the pearls against the smooth, slightly sweet matcha milk creates something that works more as a snack than a beverage. It's been a staple across tea chains in Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea for years, and has grown steadily in markets outside Asia. The matcha flavor tends to be milder here, adjusted to suit wider tastes. Matcha Tonic. Matcha Tonic is one of the less obvious combinations, but it works. Sparkling tonic water is poured over ice, and a shot of whisked matcha is added on top. The carbonation cuts through the density of the matcha and creates a lighter, slightly bitter, effervescent drink. It doesn't always mix fully, which means the first sips taste mostly of matcha, and the last sips lean toward tonic. Some versions include a slice of citrus or a small amount of simple syrup, but many are served unsweetened. It appeals to people who want something closer to the original bitterness of matcha without the weight of milk. It also makes for a lower calorie option compared to most milk-based matcha drinks. Matcha Affogato. An affogato traditionally means espresso poured over vanilla ice cream. The matcha version replaces the espresso with a strong, concentrated matcha shot. The result is a dessert drink, where the cold, sweet ice cream melts slowly into the warm, bitter matcha. It works because matcha and dairy fat have a natural affinity. The fat rounds out the bitterness and the matcha cuts through the sweetness of the ice cream. It's more common in Japanese-style dessert cafes and specialty matcha shops than in general coffee culture, but it has been gaining ground steadily. The quality of the matcha matters more here than in blended drinks because nothing else is covering the flavor.